지다 오케이 내 별개도는 대수십이 있나 단다 다 유럽의 지도 이메트와네 말한저 비밀 직주 반대 시경 로사 싱글라초 어주 슈그레 수물에 지다 당 아주 별개도네 배바철라 어주 슈그에 내게 통국민도 말한저 배바창말로 말한저게 남샤베게 범보 시나레 찹치기 우치 수인바디 나랑도 삼에 킹게 요아레 킹고의 요아레 디인도 가능해 뒤줄까 먹어토네 아니 베게토네 시경초기 아니 로규게 슈 먹어지기 다드나데 지게 조복 강라 간sam지 대패요아레 디인베 인데 다 시경 로사 싱글라초 수인다메 강라간삼 처음에 하고 요아데 이내 아치게 가제 하 먹어와 용식을 디인데 단지림나 여번나 신에 인지게 토네 아니 로사 싱글라초 안에 로규 두두징에 년주슈기에 그봐 디제제 so I'm very honored and introduce our Tibetan political leader Sikyong Prime Minister Lobsang Singla. As we know, and first of all, I want to say also thanks for our Sikyong Lobsang Singla accepting our invitation to this special event to commemorate 56th anniversary of losing our independence of Tibet. From Dharamsala, come here, joining us and inspiring us. So I want to thank Lobsang Singla, and then I want to introduce really to our Tibetan supporters who are here. And you know that His Holiness recently he gave his power, political power, to our democratically elected leader as a Sikyong, our Prime Minister Lobsang Singla. Since 2011, he took the power of our political situation of Tibet and dialogue toward the Chinese and the situation of Tibet. And Lobsang Singla, he was born in India, in a small village. Then he educated in India and grown up as we Tibetan mostly we did. And Lobsang Singla also he got, of course, and the university in Delhi. And finally, he started in Harvard University, same as Obama, president of India, of America, and Obama, and same as Obama, leading America, big country. Now the Lobsang Singla, he's leading us, we Tibetans. We Tibet, we don't have a country at the moment politically, but Tibet is still belongs to us, to Tibetans. Tibet belongs to us, not to the Chinese. And now, still, we have a big hope to a new Chinese president, Xi Jinping. But anyway, it's a long march. It's slow motion, slow going on. There's no changes happening in China. So, our young political leader, Sikyong Lobsang Singla, doing his best. He is really tirelessly traveling to the whole world and meeting with the politicians, meeting with the Tibetans in the rest of the world, and encouraging us to our struggle. Tibetan struggle is not finished. We have to struggle, we have to work more now in the future than before. So Tibet will never die. His Holiness Dalai Lama, 80 years old already, but his spirit is very young, younger than us. And now, it's time to introduce Sikyong, not my speech. Then now, Sikyong was born in India in exile, but unfortunately, still he haven't seen his own country. He have never gone. Yeah, he have never seen Tibet. So soon, I hope that when His Holiness the Dalai Lama, which is the 6 million Tibetan, the dream to His Holiness be returned Tibet as soon as possible, and with the Sikyong and with all we Tibetans and friends of Tibet, we will go soon, back to Tibet and meeting and united with the 6 million brothers and sisters. So I want to welcome Lobsang Singila, our Prime Minister, our Sikyong, to speak us and inspire us and a big message, and really, so I want to welcome Sikyong La.
Merci, on applaudit le Premier ministre, Monsieur Lobsang Sangin. Merci, applaudissez le Premier ministre, merci.
Merci beaucoup.
Ouais.
Dankeschön, thank you very much. Actually, I want to thank Honorable Zachue Rangdra for introducing me and speaking my speech as well. So I think I did not add more than what he said. The passion with which he said and the succinct message that he delivered, I think I have not much left to say. Perhaps I should say I agree with Rangdra and then sit down. I want to thank every one of you who are here today in Paris to make a declaration from Paris all the way to Lhasa, all the way to Beijing, that friends of Europe are here with the Tibetan people, and soon we will march all the way to Lhasa, and Beijing will hear it loud and clear from here. And I think it's a good sign. As we arrived here, wind also started blowing, because many of you were carrying Tibetan flags, and it needed a bit of wind to blow it, so that the Chinese government will see that the Tibetan flag is flying very high right here in Paris, and one day soon we'll hoist this flag on the rooftop of Potala Palace with His Holiness Dalai Lama. And we know throughout Europe, especially in France, more than 600 municipalities have hoisted Tibetan national flag every year on March 10th, and keep raising the Tibetan flag every year as high as you can, so that people in Beijing will see it and they will remember this flag is going to come all the way to Tibet one day soon with you all as our guest. And I think the sun is also saying yes. And I'm here actually to share with you rather a sad chapter in Tibet's history. Several days ago, 47-year-old woman from a nomadic family committed self-immolation. She burned herself and she died at 3 a.m. in the morning. It so happened, as per lunar calendar, it was the 15th day or the full moon day of the Tibetan New Year. Sadly, Tibetans in Tibet and in exile everywhere, we began our new year with the Tibetan woman burning herself to death. She is one of the 136 Tibetans who have burned themselves. Last year we had 11 Tibetans burn themselves, altogether 136. Among them included monks and nuns. But the majority of those 136 Tibetans who burned themselves were lay people, nomads and farmers, father and mother, students and teachers from all across Tibet. Even after 56 years under occupation of China, under repression and assimilation. Tibetans in Tibet are saying with their lives, loud and clear, we want our leader, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, to return to Tibet, and freedom for Tibetan is what we need. What they're saying is occupation is unacceptable and repression is unbearable. That is the message from inside Tibet. Despite all this, instead of listening to the Tibetan voices with pain and sadness and desperation and determination, Chinese government is imposing more repressive policies on the Tibetan people. For example, now Tibetans have to carry an identity card with second generation high-tech chip in it. Any Tibetan goes anywhere in Tibet. There are several checkposts in many of the urban centers. You have to show your ID card. When you swipe it, they will know where you're from and all your biodata because your biometric is in it. Now Tibetans are saying your ID card is like your shadow, without which you cannot move around. Even the Chinese tourists who have been to Tibet are saying Tibet is like a war zone. There are too many military presence, there are too many policemen, there are too many plainclothes spies, there are too many sharpshooters on rooftops looking down at you, and there's too many surveillance cameras following you. This is the situation in Tibet. It's very similar to what was in South Africa during the apartheid regime, what is happening in North Korea, what was in East Germany, the grid system, the surveillance cameras, the spies that follow Tibetans around is unacceptable. In every major monastery in Tibet, there is what they call Democratic Management Committee, which consists of Communist Party members controlling every monastery, who gets in, who gets out, who becomes, or who is allowed to become monk or nuns, or who should be expelled from monastery. We all know His Holiness Dalai Lama. We all revere him. We all have seen him. We all have heard him. We all have met him. Some of us were lucky enough to shake his hands and get his blessing. But Tibetans in Tibet are saying, he is our most revered leader. He belongs to us as much as you. You have met him, you have seen him, you have heard him. We want to hear him. We want to meet him. That's all we want. It's been 56 years now, Tibet being under occupation. Hundreds and thousands of Tibetans have died. And every day, elder generation is leaving this world without their dreams being fulfilled, without their aspirations being fulfilled, without their longing to meet with His Holiness Dalai Lama without being fulfilled. Yet, the third generation of Tibetans, the first generation, second generation, now third generation of Tibetans who are young, who are born and brought up under the occupation of China, who have not met His Holiness Dalai Lama, who has not met with exiled Tibetans, yet they are in the streets demanding what is their right, their freedom, their liberty. Hence today's rally right here in Paris and France is significant because this is France. This is the land of French Revolution. This is the land from where the term liberty is made very famous all around the world. Hence what Tibetans are saying is we want liberty like the French people. We want liberty that you had. And hence our appeal is that Tibetans want liberty. At the same time, we are here to remind France and European countries, liberty is what you got. Liberty is what we want. And French leaders are appealed to support liberty of Tibet. If you cannot support us, you have to answer the word liberty to French people and to the rest of the world. And equality is another word made very popular by the French Revolution. And equality is also what we seek. That is the message from inside Tibet. Hence, from France, from Paris, the declaration what we make will be for liberty and equality. And hence, leaders in France, I appeal to stand with us for liberty and equality. If you don't stand with us, explain to the rest of the world the very principles on which the French Revolution was founded and the very principles inscribed in your constitution. That is your responsibility. Our duty is to come here and appeal to you. And I'm absolutely certain the leaders in France will stand for liberty and equality of Tibet. Also, this is the Europe Rally for Tibet. And in the Constitution of European Union, democracy and human rights are considered, are declared as the inherent, integral part of the European Union. And that's exactly what Tibetans are saying. We want democracy. We want human rights for us. Please, your constitution says that you have declared so. So support our democracy and support our human rights. And I'm pretty sure European leaders will support democracy and freedom and human rights of the Tibetan people. If you don't, please read your constitution again and again and explain the rest of the world why you're not supporting us. In that sense, I really want to thank many Europeans here in this gathering. I can see many of you are all very old friends. You have been with us for decades. And some of you must be wondering, how come Tibetans are calling us all the way from the Netherlands, from England, from Germany, all over Europe to come to Paris? We have asked you to come here one more time. One more time. So the next time we'll march all the way to Lhasa together. But we might have to march again and again. We have to remind our leaders in Europe and in France that what Tibetans want is exactly what we have. Recently, Chinese government has made some funny statements, disturbing statements. Some of the Communist Party members have declared during their National Assembly that His Holiness the Dalai Lama's reincarnation will be decided by the Communist Party of China. And they want the reincarnation of Dalai Lama, and Dalai Lama cannot stop the reincarnation of Dalai Lama. Now, if you read Chinese media or any Western media, for decades, Chinese government and the Communist Party leaders have criticized His Holiness the Dalai Lama time and again and again and again, all the time. We all know when His Holiness Dalai Lama met Mao Zedong in 1954, Mao Zedong came closely to His Holiness and whispered to his ear, "Religion is poison." That's what he said. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama was called and is called a spiritist. And some Chinese leaders have also called him the devil. But they want the reincarnation of the devil. They want the reincarnation of the spiritist now. Now there is no logic whatsoever in what they're saying. Because religion is matter of faith, is matter of your heart and mind. You cannot force with your guns, you cannot buy with money. And from the first Dalai Lama to the 14th Dalai Lama, Tibetans have always selected the Dalai Lamas. Chinese have never, ever selected the Dalai Lama. But certainly they are interested now. And I have said, the Communist Party is saying they will select the next Dalai Lama is almost similar to Fidel Castro saying, I will select the next Pope and all the Christians should follow him. There's no rhyme and reason behind the logic. And also, it's pretty clear, His Holiness Dalai Lama has said, Chinese Communist Party is very interested in my reincarnation. If they are so interested, if they really believe in reincarnation, first they must find the reincarnation of Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping and Zhou Enlai. Actually, they have done more things for China. Then they can come and discuss about reincarnation of Dalai Lama. And also the idea of reincarnation, I think Chinese leaders should get it very clearly. Idea of reincarnation is incarnation is reincarnation. Meaning, if you leave your mission and vision in exile, you will be born in exile to continue the mission and vision of the previous Dalai Lama. By that logic, His Holiness the Dalai Lama will be born in exile to continue the Tibetan freedom struggle and continue the spread the message of Buddha all over the world. If the Tibetan issue is not resolved, His Holiness the Dalai Lama will not be born in China because there is no religious freedom, because they banned the photograph of Dalai Lama. Why would His Holiness Dalai Lama go to China and to be reborn there? And His Holiness Dalai Lama cannot be born in Tibet as well because Tibet is under occupation. Tibetans are facing repression. Tibetans cannot meet and worship and pray His Holiness Dalai Lama. So he will be born in exile by that logic. So I think the Chinese government should read the definition of reincarnation and know that 14 Dalai Lama has come to this world, and all the time we the Tibetans have selected the Dalai Lama, and we will select the next Dalai Lama as well. But His Holiness the Dalai Lama is going to be 80 years this year. He is very healthy. He maintains a very robust schedule. I have traveled with him. In fact, we get tired at the end of the day, but he doesn't. So Chinese leaders will be sorely disappointed that His Holiness is going to live for very, very long time. And let me mention, given the wind, when you see all these Tibetan flags flying high, you can see Uyghur flag, you can see German flag, European Union flag, I can see British flag. It looks beautiful from here, I must tell you. I'm sure you all are freezing and thinking, when is going to finish my speech? Looking at the sea of people here and the flags flying, it just gives me inspiration to continue. So I hope you all brought your blankets because I'm going to be here till midnight. No clap, so you want me to finish it. I want to end, given the chilly wind, I want to talk briefly about Tibet's environment. Tibet is important, not just for 6 million Tibetans, but also for the rest of the world, particularly in Asia. Tibet is called the roof of the world. Tibet is also called the third pole. After Antarctica and Arctic, Tibet has the third highest reserve of ice. The difference being Antarctica and Arctic, when it melts, it goes to ocean. Tibetan snow or the Tibetan glaciers, when it melts, it forms into fresh water and forms into rivers. 10 major rivers of Asia flow from Tibet. Yangtze River, the most famous river in China with 3 gorgeous dams. Yellow River, the cradle of Chinese civilization. Both the rivers start in Tibet. Mekong River, which flows all the way from Tibet to Southeast Asian countries like Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, and we all know the Mekong Delta of Vietnam. It starts from Tibet and provides fresh water to all these countries. Salween River, Brahmaputra from Tibet to India to Bangladesh, the lifeline of Bangladesh. Indus River and Satluj River from Tibet to India to Pakistan. These are vital rivers for Asia, and through these rivers, more than 1 billion people in that area are available with water. In that sense, Tibet is the source of fresh water for all these countries. And also the Tibetan Plateau is called River of the World. It's vital as far as climate is concerned. The mist formed over Bay of Bengal and the Indian Ocean forms into cloud and hits the Tibetan Plateau. That's how the monsoon is affected in South Asia and Southeast Asia. So any delay in monsoon, the early monsoon, are due to the Tibetan Plateau. Hence, Tibet is vital as far as that region is concerned. So hence, support for Tibet is not just support for 6 million Tibetans. It is a support for environment and water in that part of the world for more than 1 billion people. Because some scientists say, before wars were fought over land, nowadays wars are fought over energy. Soon, wars will be fought over water, because China has 20% of the world population, but only 12% of fresh water. 8% of China's population, which is more than 400 million Chinese, are facing scarcity of fresh water. And the situation in Bangladesh is worse. The situation in India is worse. The situation in Pakistan is worse. And the situation in Southeast Asian countries are worse. Now, given the water crisis facing at that particular region, Tibet is vital. Now, unfortunately, Chinese government is building not just 1, 2, but 10, 20 dams over Tibetan rivers, and few of them on Brahmaputra River, which is a lifeline for India and Bangladesh. There are some reports that the Chinese want to divert some of the Tibetan rivers towards China instead of to South Asia and Southeast Asia. If that happens, you can clearly see crisis building up in that part of the region. And support for Tibet is support for environment. Support for Tibet is support for liberty, equality, democracy, and justice. Finally, support for Tibet is support for non-violence. For decades, we have committed to non-violence. Yet, in Tibet, if 3 people or 10 people gather and protest non-violently, peacefully, they get arrested, they are imprisoned, they are tortured, and often they don't come out from prison, they disappear. Yet, we have a dare to non-violence. Of the 136 Tibetans who have committed self-immolation, who have burned themselves, we discourage self-immolation. We discourage self-immolation as an action, but we support the aspiration. But of the 136 self-immolators, none of them, not even a single one of them, have harmed a single Chinese person or a property. And today also we are gathered here as a solidarity to Tibetans inside Tibet. If we have similar gathering in Lhasa, 99% of you will go to prison. I left 1% because often in such kind of gathering in Tibet, 1% are Chinese spies. So we are here with free spirit, with freedom to say what we want and ask for liberty, equality, democracy, and human rights for the Tibetan people. Tibetans in Tibet cannot do so. That is why we are doing here. And your message, your gathering here, is a major inspiration to Tibetans inside Tibet. They will be encouraged because this is a message of hope to Tibetans. They are looking, they are listening, they are following us. They want to know Tibetans in exile and friends around the world are doing for Tibet. When they hear that thousands have gathered and thousands have spoken out for Tibet and the Tibetan people for the non-violent struggle, their spirit will be high and their hope will be alive. And the message of hope is very important. In that sense, I want to thank the organizers of this rally. They have put in a lot of efforts, all the volunteers, and especially each one of you who took the time and the trouble to come all the way to Paris. Finally, I firmly believe, just recently I gave several media interviews, I gave several talks, and I get this question often. They say, you left America, you went to Dharamsala for seemingly very difficult tasks. Some say it's impossible task. But I said no. Justice and freedom for Tibet is possible. Not only possible, it will be realized very soon. Why? Because same thing was told to Nelson Mandela. When he spent 27 years in prison and 8 years in solitary confinement in Robben Island, he was written off by experts and media said, Nelson Mandela cannot free himself. Forget about restoring democracy in South Africa. No, Nelson Mandela walked the streets of South Africa and democracy was restored. Till recently, Aung San Suu Kyi was written off. They said Aung San Suu Kyi is under house arrest. She can never be freed from the house arrest. She is free. She walked the streets of Europe. She came and received the Nobel Peace Prize. And one story I must share. When I had the privilege of meeting former President of Poland, Lech Walesa, he shared with me a story. He said, when the East Germany and West Germany was divided, the Chancellor of West Germany and the Foreign Minister of West Germany visited him. And then Foreign Minister asked Lech Walesa and said, what do you think of all the students and youth gathering around the Berlin Wall? And Lech Walesa told him, Berlin Wall is coming down, be prepared. And then the Foreign Minister of West Germany said, oh, we like that kind of trouble, but it is not going to happen in my lifetime. 2 weeks later, Berlin Wall came down. Similarly, in this day and age of social network, in this day and age of Arab Spring, in this day and age, the Western Sahara, in this day and age of East Timor, when Northern Ireland can sign the Good Friday Agreement, everything is possible, anything is possible, particularly the story of Tibet, non-violent struggle of Tibet is also possible. When that happens, that story will be one of the best and the beautiful stories of the 21st century. When that happens, that will be the success of non-violence, that will be the success of liberty, that will be the success of equality, that will be the success of democracy, that will be the success of human rights, that will be the success of rally right here in Paris. You will be contributing to that success. For that reason, I want to thank on behalf of 6 million Tibetans to our friends from all over. Be with us, march with us, few more times, only few more times. We are getting there very soon. Thank you very much. Thanks to Lech.
Merci, Zachue Rangdra. Merci. On l'applaudit. On peut l'applaudir encore. Merci beaucoup.